Hey guys, it's Kate here at Lauritsen Gardens. I'm the garden educator here with Mindy, who's also one of our garden educators. And I guess we're here with you today because, well, quite honestly, we miss you guys. It's a little lonely here, so we're gonna bring hopefully some of the gardens with you at home through a little quick lesson and a little bit of a story and an activity at the end. So a couple of things. We're gonna start with life cycles, which is behind us here on the board. And basically everything has a life cycle of some sort. Humans have life cycles, animals have life cycles, and as you can see up on the board, all different plants have life cycles as well. So we're gonna start with just your basic plant. So nothing too fancy, just a little basic plant. Its life cycle is really pretty simple. You put a seed in the ground and you expect it to grow, really is kind of the bottom line. So it starts with a seed. It goes to a big fancy word called a cotyledon, which is just simply the sprouting of its root system into the ground. So you can see kind of the little sprout starting here with the seed. More of the seeds and the roots are starting to expose themselves. And then when the seedling comes along, that's when you start to kind of get the excitement of it because it starts to kind of bloom above the ground. Eventually, when you've got a plant that's pretty good size, we call that just an adult plant, so one that's fully grown. And then the final stage is the fruit. Keep in mind that if the fruit stage doesn't mean it just produces fruit. It could be vegetables. In this case, it's actually beans on this particular plant that we've got a picture of up here. So really kind of short and simple way of showcasing life cycles. We got all sorts of different things to showcase those life cycles. This is actually a really one, if you want to zoom in on that one. Put my hand on the back of it if you can see that. This is actually the real life cycle of a bean. So you can see the different steps that it takes. See if you guys can identify the seed, the cotyledon, the seedling, the adult plant, things of that nature at home. This is your little quiz. Awesome, so it should take a really similar path that we just showed you up on the board with number one obviously being that seed. Number two is that beginning of the sprout. Number three is that cotyledon. You've got the seedling for 4 and 5, and then that big old plant that's gonna start to hopefully grow itself here at the end. One thing that I wanna show you real quick before we move on to our story is that plants, when we first plant those seeds, let's see if I can do this without making a mess. Obviously you plant seeds and you can't see anything. This one has been planted for I think 2 or 3 weeks by now. So we planted seeds, couldn't see anything. They sprouted. The cool part about something like this is that now you get to see the actual root structure kind of growing off of the root down here. Let's see if we can kind of separate some of that. And you can also see it up kind of where my hands are at. So this will give you a full kind of glimpse of a life cycle where we started with a seed in the dirt, it sprouted, those roots kind of came through the bottom of my pop bottle, and then that seedling and adult plant started to grow at the top of the pop bottle. Okay, so that's kind of a quick down and dirty rundown of life cycles. Mindy is next, so she's going to read you a story here real quick.
Yeah, thank you, Miss Kate. All right, so sticking with the bean theme, today we'll be reading Jack and the Beanstalk. This book is retold by the award-winning author Carol Ottolenghi. It is illustrated by Guy Porfirio and read aloud to you today by me, Miss Mindy. All right, let's get started here. Jack and the Beanstalk. Once upon a time, when giants still stomped the land, a widow lived with her son Jack. The widow was too sick to work, and one day they ran out of money. Son, Jack's mother said, I'm too weak to take the cow to town. You must go and sell her. Now, Jack was brave and kind-hearted, but he didn't always use his head. So his mother told him to think carefully before selling the cow. Jack promised he would. He was halfway to town when a man stopped him. Jack, said the man, I'll give you 5 magic beans for your cow. Jack thought. How could this stranger know my name? And how could he know that I'm selling the cow? He must have magic powers. Then those beans could be magic too. He traded the cow for the magic beans and went home, very pleased with the deal. His mother was not pleased. "You were tricked, you silly boy," she cried. "There are no such thing as magic beans." Angrily, she threw the beans out the window. "Now we have no cow, we have no money. What are we gonna do?" Here she is, throwing his beans out the window, all his hard work. The next morning, something tickled Jack's nose and woke him up. Surprised, Jack saw that a huge leaf had poked into his window. He pushed it away and peeked outside. A thick beanstalk stretched up, its top hidden by the clouds. Without waking his mother, Jack started climbing the beanstalk. His arms and legs began to ache, but he forgot about them when he saw the castle. So see the beanstalk growing up? It looks like the stem growing on the seedling that Kate talked about earlier, doesn't it? Jack knocked on the castle door. A giant woman opened it. "Who's there?" she asked, peering around. "I don't see well, so speak up." Jack wasn't sure that he wanted her to see him, but he was very hungry. "I'm down here," he said. "Do you have any work I can do for food?" The giantess picked up Jack by his collar and plopped him on a huge stone floor. "Start scrubbing," she ordered. "Thud, thud, thud. Ugh," said the woman. "It's my husband. Hide in the cupboard so he doesn't eat you. We'll scrub the floor later." The giant came in, took one sniff and said, "Fee, fi, fo, fum. I smell the blood of an Englishman. Be he alive or be he dead, I'll grind his bones to make my bread." "Don't be silly," said his wife. "You smell breakfast. Eat it while it's hot." After breakfast, the giant opened his bags of gold. He began counting the pieces, but fell asleep after 135,091. Just a little gold would feed Mother and me for a long time, Jack thought. He snatched a bag and climbed quickly down the beanstalk. Jack's mother was delighted, but when she heard where Jack had gotten the gold, she hugged him tight. "Those giants robbed us of that gold and 2 other treasures," she said. "They killed your father. I grabbed you and escaped. Promise that you won't go back for more gold." Jack promised. The next morning, he climbed the beanstalk again. "I promised not to go back for more gold," the boy thought as he climbed. "I didn't say I wouldn't go back for something else. After all, it was ours." Jack banged on the castle door. The giantess squinted her eyes and peered down at him. "Are you the thief that was here yesterday?" she demanded. "I'm no thief," Jack said. "I'm a hard worker, though, and I expect to be paid for it." The giantess picked up Jack by his collar and plopped him in front of a huge tub of dirty dishes. "Start washing," she ordered. Thud, thud, thud. "Oh," said the giantess, "it's my husband. Hide in the cupboard so he doesn't eat you. Do the dishes later." The giant came in and took one sniff and said, "Fee, fi, fo, fum. I smell the blood of an Englishman. Be he alive?" Yeah, interrupted his wife. "You smell breakfast. Eat it while it's hot." The giant grumbled, but he ate. Then he got a goose from a crate in the corner. He put the goose on the table and roared, "Lay!" The goose honked twice and then waddled back to its crate. On the table was a golden egg. The giant tossed it up and down like a ball. Then his eyes began to hurt from looking at the shiny gold, so he shut them. So we know geese lay eggs. What other animals do you know that lay eggs? As soon as the giant fell asleep, Jack grabbed the goose and quickly slid down the beanstalk. His mother was waiting at the bottom of the beanstalk. She was very angry with Jack. "I didn't exactly promise not to go up again," Jack explained. "You knew you weren't supposed to," said his mother. "Go to your room." Jack knew that he shouldn't, but the next morning before his mother woke up, he climbed to the castle. But this time, instead of banging on the door, he crawled in a kitchen window when the giantess wasn't looking. The giant's wife hid me in the cupboard, Jack thought. I'll hide somewhere else. He climbed into the wash tub. Soon he heard thud, thud, thud. The giant came in, took one sniff, and said, "Fee, fi, fo, fum. I smell." "You certainly do," interrupted his wife. "That little thief probably sneaked in again. He always hides in the cupboard." But Jack wasn't there. The giant ate his breakfast, and then he got out a golden harp. "Play," he roared. The harp sounded like a sparkling stream pouring over pebbles. The lady of the harp sang a song with no words. Jack was entranced. Entranced means really happy. The music put the giant to sleep. Jack grabbed the harp, but he almost dropped it when it screamed, "Master! Master!" The giant woke and thudded after Jack. Jack half scrambled, half slid down the beanstalk. "Mother!" he yelled, "get the axe!" Jack's mother saw the giant close behind Jack. She grabbed the axe and whacked the beanstalk. "Jack, jump, jump!" she hollered and whacked again. Jack jumped to the ground. He snatched the axe and whacked the stalk until it snapped in two. Kaboom! The giant and the beanstalk hit the ground together, and that was the end of the giant. Jack, his mother, the goose, and the harp lived very happily together, except for the time Jack went to town to buy a pig, but that's another story. Thank you.
Awesome. We are going to put both the story together with what we learned about the life cycles. So I think every teacher in America has done the good old lima bean experiment, where you take a lima bean, put it in a cup of soil, which ours is actually already in there. I don't know if you can see it on the side there. We put ours to the side just so that as you water and it starts to grow, you can actually start to see it grow. So I would recommend sticking it to the side just so that you can do the same. So we're going to connect the two. So your job is to first plant your lima bean in a little cup of soil, a clear cup of soil, and then you're going to make a castle just like you heard on Jack and the Beanstalk. We kind of took the shortcut way and printed one. You can do that as well. Otherwise you can have kiddos draw it out. And then we just glued it onto a little skewer, one that you would use to like grill vegetables and steak and whatever else you want to grill on it. Glued some little cotton balls to mark the clouds that Jack kind of rummaged his way through. And then lastly, this is kind of a little guy, we cut out a Jack. So there's Jack. Again, we got him from the internet, but again, you can also draw it yourself. So our castle is going to go in our cup. And in a couple of weeks here, hopefully less time, we're going to start to see our bean sprout, just like you heard on Jack and the Beanstalk. And once it starts to sprout, you can actually put Jack on your beanstalk. So with that, eventually, if you can kind of visualize with me, you're going to end up with a seed. Okay, that's your lima bean. You're going to end up with that root system that starts, which hopefully you can see through that clear cup. The little seedling will start to sprout outside the dirt. The adult plant, which is what's going to grow bigger and bigger and bigger up to your castle. And then eventually, which I'm not sure if you'll get to this part eventually, but hopefully you will, where you'll get to the actual fruit of the plant. Okay, so hopefully we can put both of those kind of concepts together and come up with a fun little craft for you and your family to do while you're kind of stuck at home during this virus outbreak. That's all we have for you guys. Hopefully we'll get to see you all at the garden soon, rather than over video, but for now, video works just as well, I think. So with that said, we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.